Well, I had an interesting comment while I was out on a ride the other day. And so I thought I would go ahead and do a video on it. So stick around. Well, hello again, Internet. Welcome back to the channel. Yeah, I was out riding and got to talking to somebody. Oh, I guess, well, it was over the weekend. And so I guess last week. It's the weekend again. Time is going quick. But they'd asked me about my setup here. They thought it was interesting the way that I was doing things. And so I thought, well, maybe some other folks would be interested in it as well. And so what I'll do is I'll stop down here by the pond and kind of show you what the setup that I use on my bike is. Now, you're going to want to keep in mind this does not come from a cyclist. I've never been a cyclist except for a motorcyclist. And that was a lot of years ago, but I was very heavy into that. And other than that, you know, it was just the e-bikes that we rode. And so I'm not saying this is the exact setup that it should be for everybody, but it is the setup that I use. And we'll come down here by the pond and I'll kind of show you a little bit about what I'm talking about here. So, and we're hoping everybody's doing well. It's starting to look like we're getting some cooler temperatures in for now. Oh, I forgot to check out looking for my herring. I keep looking for it. There's a gray one and a white one that hangs out there. And I am always trying to sneak up on them in here, but they're really difficult to sneak up on. You know, on this side here, you've got this beautiful pond. And then you come over to this side, and well, we got the swamp. One of these days, they'll turn that into a pond as well. So let's take a look here at my setup. We'll turn off this light so it's not distracting anything because we're out for a ride as well. We'll go from this side right here. Of course, I've got my mirror and my grip. My grips are lock on. I do not use the grips with the molded handles on. I use them on actually my fat tire bike, but that's only because I haven't changed them out to a different type of grip yet. And then we've got the control pad for the electronics, and then my bell is available. So everything there is very available right there. I do use that quite a bit. And of course the bell is right there. Now my brakes, and this is what they were specifically interested in, my brakes are set over a whole long way to the inside. Reason for that is I ride always with one finger on each brake. You just never see me riding that way. And that was a habit that I developed back in my motorcycle days. Oh, that was a long time ago. I'm shocked that I still started doing that immediately. I actually started with two fingers on them, which works a little better with them pushed to the inside because that's what we did. But I've, you know, with these hydraulic brakes, I've gone to one finger. And why do I do that? Well, it's not so much for the braking aspect, but honestly, it's more for the cutoff aspect. You know, I've got brake cutoffs on this. I can go ahead and cut the power. If I'm making a sharp turn right here and I don't want that power to kick in, I can just go ahead and cut it. Well, why don't you just use the throttle? Well, we'll get to that here in just a minute. But that's probably one of the main reasons that I keep a finger on my brakes all the time, is to cut off that power. So I keep thinking, just a little secret, I keep thinking on that back brake, I'm going to take out that brake cutoff so that I can work on wheelies a little bit more and use that back wheel to control if it starts to loop out. I keep thinking that, but I think Michelle would be a little upset if she knew that. So we'll just keep that our little secret. But let's get back to, next I've got my my foam mount, and I happen to have, I kick between the Posico mount, which I really like, and this homemade mount that I've got. And the reason I like the homemade mount is because it keeps these two planes perfectly matched, and that's just some ADHD or whatever they call it, ADD or something that I end up with. So that's why you'll see that kicking in between there. I can't get that good of a match on the Posico, but you know, that's okay. That's okay. Next up, we've got, and I used to have another front headlight mount here, just like I have right here. I took one of them off as I'm not riding at night nearly as much as I was. And so I'll just strap on one of these little rechargeable lights here and go. And then next up, we've got our next brake lever. And again, I mean, you see, when I did, I mean, that's just automatically the way that I go to the hand grips is, you know, that's just the way, and that makes it very easy to use the brakes as a cutoff or as brakes. I only have to use one finger on the brakes at a time. And then we've got our shifter in here. And then right next to that is our thumb throttle. Now you're going to notice something about this thumb throttle. You know, we're on 0, so it's cut out. It pushes this way. Why in the world would it push that way? Well, I'm going to tell you why it ends up put that a deer jumping back through there, and I missed it. Kind of grabbed my attention, but it was gone already. But I'll show you why it is that I have that throttle, what most people would consider backwards. So let me switch up the camera angle here real quick, and I'll show you that. Okay, while I'm right here, we had a car come through. I'd never seen any vehicular traffic on this thing, but we've had 2 come through here. My luck. But while I'm standing here, I want to show you, to get a good leg extension, because I do try and pedal all the time, which is going to lead into the throttle, which is why I'm showing you this. My seat is up really high. You know, I can't touch the ground while I'm on that seat. And so when I leave out, I have to be standing on the ground. And the only time that I really use my throttle, period, is if I'm pulling out on a hill or something. I'm going to set them pedals where it would be more like if I was on a hill or something. But what I'm going to do is I'm pushing my throttle up forward and, you know, stand up on it. We'll kind of try that again here and see if you can see it. You know, but when I stop, I need to step down off of there. Well, when I pull out, you know, I'm coming up and going forward. And that's exactly what my throttle is doing, because it's pointing, you know, it's down a little bit right here, and it's coming up and going forward, which is exactly what I end up doing. And so that is the reason that, and we're going to swing back around here, and we'll take a look at when I stop the bike. You know, I just slide forward off of the seat and place a foot down. Typically, it's my left foot. Now, I'm not sure why that is. Maybe just because of all the horses that you step on from the left. which there's no reason you have to do that. I did a lot of them on the right too, but it is what it is on that. But that's how I light out. Now, if I cut this down to 0 pedal assist, you know, if I was on a regular bike, that is how you would leave out of here, is just like that. You know, there's no power on that one right there. And so that's the reason that my throttle goes forward and up, because that's exactly what I do. As I'm moving forward, I go up, and then I set back onto the seat. Again, the seat height is up pretty high, but that gives me good leg extension. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pedal through here and just take a look at the leg extension that I get. I'll move it down the trail there just a little bit. Make sure that motor is turned off, because I want to do it slow so that you can see the full leg extension that we get. And my knees are not cracking up there real high. That can give you, if you allow your knees to be going way up like that, you can end up with some knee issues if you do it long enough. And like I say, I'm not using the throttle on this thing hardly at all. Only when I pull out, I could get by without the throttle with no problems. I use it when I pull out on hills, and other than that, that's about the only time I do use it. So, all right, let's go ahead and jump back onto the bike, continue out this ride. Okay, guys, so what I want to do, I want to go ahead and continue on with this ride and get a little time in. It looks like we might get some rain later today, so I'd like to go ahead and get this in. It's just, I think it's a 13-mile ride that I'm going to be doing today. But because I was asked that question, I thought, you know, if one person asked that question, maybe some others would be interested in it. And that's why I have this thing set up the way that I have it set up. It's stand up and lean down there. That's kind of hard to do and keep pedaling if I try and lean down. But there we go. You know, they always have a finger on them brake levers. It's just the way that I do it. And it's done pretty well for me, and so I like it that way. Again, this throttle is backwards to what almost everybody does. You know, I find it really interesting that with the motorcycle background that I have, I really don't like a twist throttle on a bike. I prefer a thumb throttle. And even when I had it on this side over here, I pushed it forward. You know, it was always forward is where I go with it, because, like I said, I'm coming up. But I thought that was very interesting. It was because of my motorcycle background that automatically, when I started riding the fat tire bike, the first one that I got, it was automatic that 2 fingers went on the brakes, and I've not moved those ones to the inside yet because they are mechanical disc brakes, and you probably could use 2 fingers at times on those brakes. So I'm kind of leaving them where they were, but I always had 2 fingers, 2 covering the front brake and 2 covering the clutch, and it just translated into here. And as I rode this with the hydraulic brakes a few times, I said, well, you know, I didn't need 2 of them on there. So that's when I translated to 1. And if you look at these levers, if you leave them to the inside and you're covering it with a single finger, you have to pull it way in, because your finger is not out on the end. It's at this spot. See if I can show you this here. Sorry about my hand being in the way there. If you're covering it with 1 finger, you've got your finger out on the end, and when it comes in, it comes in. If you're covering it with the brake all the way to the inside, you're covering it out here. And boy, that really has to come in. So it's just much more natural for my finger to lay out here and come in like that to use the brake. So that's why I do it the way that I do. And it works for me. I'm not saying it's the best way, the right way, or anything. I'm just saying that's what works for me. And maybe go ahead and give it a try. See if it works for you as well. You know, what you would want to do is ride with your hand out here on the very end with the finger, because your levers are probably out here. Ride with your hand out here for a little while and see if that kind of feels right to you. And if it does, why, maybe it's time to push them levers to the inside a little bit. So, hey, that's going to do it. I'm going to boogie on down here. Boy, that sky looks like we might get some rain before I get back. And, you know, I'm not real interested in riding in that. So I'm going to wrap this up and get rocking and rolling down the road. So till the next time, Internet, this is Southern E-Biking telling you, hey, stay safe, God bless, and keep the wheels turning. Once again, we are out of here.